This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
I'm Bob Joseph. Now, we begin. Topicality. Local, state, national, global, whatever you want to talk about. Let's do it. 607-772-1290. This is Binghamton Now. WNBF. Thursday, October 10th, 2024, 607-772-1290. We'll be taking calls till noon. There is plenty of information you need to know. As they say in the headlines, what to know. What you need to know. What you must know. Stay tuned. We'll bring it to you. Binghamton and beyond. And it's a rather nice Thursday morning here in Parlor City, USA. Sadly, we have seen the images and the reports of devastation in sections of Florida as a result of Milton. And to any of our listeners who may be joining us in Florida, we certainly wish the best. I know some people just wound up with a lot of rain and some strong winds, but not necessarily much real damage, at least not that they know of yet. Of course, damage assessments are just beginning with daybreak. A lot of the damage could not be ascertained while it was dark. And still, as you look at the pictures, still pictures and video images from certain sections of Florida, it's clear. It's clear. Tremendous damage has occurred in many communities, and many people are going to be affected for not just weeks or even months, probably for some years to come. So we are going to wish everyone the best as they deal with the aftermath of Milton and also the aftermath of Helene. See two devastating hurricanes happen so close to each other is very disturbing. And hopefully the people who desperately need help right now will get it soon. Closer to home. Checking WNBF.com. And the image speaks for itself. Take a look on the homepage, WNBF.com. And just a few feet away from the beautiful IBM Glen, the legendary, the iconic, the beautiful nature preserve. Right next to it, they're tearing down trees. Not hundreds, thousands. Who knows how many? Somebody said they thought it was only hundreds. I don't know. If you think it's only hundreds, let me know what the count is. Given the huge area that's being clear-cut, I would think that it's thousands of trees. But if you have an accurate count of how many trees are being chopped down for the solar farm projects on the land owned by Homestead Village Development Group of Vestal, if you have a specific count, be sure to provide it to me, also with the supporting documentation. I did go out for my hike as promised on Wednesday afternoon, and it was a great day for a hike until I got to the eastern portion of the IBM Glen when I could hear the sounds of heavy equipment chopping down acre after acre after acre of forest. So there you go. And that's going to be some of our energy for the next couple of decades. So you can see the story and even a video. You can even see the video at WNBF.com. It's Yeah, that's called progress. That's the energy of the future. At least they didn't put up a wind project yet. Maybe that'll be next. Have some giant wind turbines looming. Enjoy your hike. Enjoy your bike ride with the sounds of nature. And again, more details, WNBF.com. The video, images from the neighbors, good neighbors to the IBM Glen. It's 9:15, WNBF. Good morning, you're on the air. Good morning, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning there, Bob. It's Dave from Vestal.
Good morning.
Hello. Yeah, good morning. Hey, Bob, you know, I've been doing a lot of reading lately on energy. I hear you talking about energy there. Nuclear energy, Bob. You know, I'd like to hear from, that smart guy down in the Wego there, Joe. I'd like to hear his opinion, if he's listening, on his scientific opinion on nuclear energy, Bob. Speaking of the future, stuff that I've read, Bob, there's many, many more benefits than there is risks. And I think that's what the future is, Bob. Nuclear energy. That's the way to go right there. And Bob, too.
I agree. By the way, yeah. I agree. I ran into a guy who we actually, as we wrapped up I went out just to take pictures of the exciting new nuclear. Let's be funny. No, I meant it's not a solar facility. It's actually a nuclear facility. That's what it is. Can you imagine if that, it's like, oh no, we had a typo in all our applications. It's not for a solar facility. It's actually for a nuclear plant. Sorry about that. But it's not. But I wound up, as I walked back from my wonderful hike yesterday to document the exciting projects in the town of Union, I ran into a guy who had a lot to say about energy and politics, but energy in particular. And we were talking about the work underway next to the Waterman. It's owned and operated by Waterman Conservation Education Center, but the IBM Glen. And he was talking about his son, I believe is out in California. His son seems like a pretty intelligent guy. And he mentioned that his son says nuclear is probably where we're headed. I tend to agree, at least looking ahead for the next 20 or 30 years, because obviously there's a big movement to shut down whatever remaining coal-fired plants there are, oil or natural gas-fired plants, and solar and wind facilities aren't going to make up what we need to drive our electric vehicles. So I believe some modern and smallish nuclear plants are in our future.
Yeah, I agree, Bob. Hey, Bob, before I go, can I follow? You had a lady call at the end of the show yesterday, Bob. I want to assure her that we will, when there's a woman that is worthy of the highest office in the land, Bob, when she's worthy of it, men out here, we will vote for a woman. Yes, we will. I don't want to stop thinking we just won't vote for a woman. But, think back. Put Hillary, even Hillary, you know how she's loathed. Well, if you put her alongside Harris, compared the two, Hillary's like she's Margaret Thatcher like compared to Harris, and that's not kidding.
And that's not in a good way.
No,
I mean anybody who is familiar with Margaret Thatcher knows that's called damning with faint praise.
You're right there.
Yeah, and again, I would never speak ill of Margaret Thatcher as a person. It's just some of her policies. And again, what do I know from looking across the pond? Maybe something was lost in translation, but Maggie Thatcher, I would say, she didn't have the kind of worldview that was for me.
Yeah, I know, but still, she's a tough lady, Bob.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so is Flo from Progressive Insurance, but you wouldn't elect her president. Or would you? Actually, that would be, okay, here's the dream ticket for 2028 for Republicans. As Republicans regroup after the 2024 election disaster, they look to Flo from Progressive Insurance as their savior, and their running mate. Let's see, or not there. Flo's running mate would be Hakeem Jeffries. So you'd have two Binghamton University graduates on the Republican ticket. It's going to be interesting to see how Hakeem Jeffries manages to spin it when he renounces his membership in the Democratic Party and becomes a Republican, and is Flo's running mate for 2028.
Never happened.
By the way, I would vote for that. I don't usually tell people who I would vote for, but if Flo from Progressive Insurance and Hakeem Jeffries are on a ticket together, just because they're Binghamton University graduates, just because they know probably where the Binghamton Now studio is, they would get my support.
Flo's still going too, Bob.
She is, and she makes a lot of money off that. Some people find it somewhat ridiculous that somebody who went to Binghamton University, and I think she sort of started out as a comedian and wanted to be an actress, but in the end, she continues to rake in copious quantities of cash thanks to the lucrative insurance industry.
Isn't that funny how things work out?
Yeah. You know, and hey, I'll be the first to admit, and this is the first time I've said it on the air, I'm a bit jealous of her. I would be, if they ever cast like a male version of Flo, like Floyd. Actually, this is the next stage of the Progressive Insurance campaign. So suddenly they introduce Floyd as now Flo's new TV commercial husband. And it's like, oh, Floyd, you're so funny. Yeah, it would be those wacky commercials, but it would give them another 2 to 3 years of continuing, sort of expanding the character. It's like, Bob, what's it like to be married to Flo, at least on the TV commercials? It's like, that's okay. She's funny. We have some things in common, not much. But then again, it's only for the TV commercials, so it's only 30 seconds at a time.
Yeah, but those names, Floyd and Flo, they sound like a couple of characters like on Green Acres or something like that, Bob.
That is the place to be.
Hey, Bob, real quick question. If Hillary couldn't beat Trump, how is Harris going to do it?
We need to get that dog and follow them around, and every time they say these things, you know?
Imagine if we had 4 years of that.
Oh, I love that, Bob.
Whew.
Well,
and I mean that in only the most positive way, because I love dogs.
I know you do. Okay, sir.
All right, thanks.
Have a good one.
Flo and Floyd. Now I'm going to have nightmares. Sorry about that, kids. It was not planned. Flo and Floyd for Progressive Insurance. Hey, kids. I just thought of, I just thought of just instantly at least a dozen commercials with poor Flo being stuck married to a guy named Floyd, portrayed by me. Sheesh. Talking about a nightmare scenario. Oh, well, it would sell some insurance, wouldn't it? Certainly more than that rabid gecko. And how did the gecko become rabid anyway? Tonight at 7 on Entertainment Tonight. Another ET exclusive. 607-772-1290. This is Bob Joseph. Single-handedly changing the direction of American radio on WNBF. Spiders and snakes, oh my. The biggest thing now in Florida isn't the spiders and snakes, it's the alligators. So people who are in areas that now have a significant amount of floodwater are being urged, stay out of the floodwater. Yes, it's a deadly brew, a toxic stew of all sorts of chemicals, maybe dioxin, maybe PCBs, maybe who knows what, gasoline, anything. By the way, when I say anything in floodwater, imagine what I mean by that. Anything could be in the water in the flooding conditions after Milton. So you don't want to be exposed to anything, so you stay out of the floodwater. But the other thing is, it's not the spiders and snakes, it's the alligators and stuff like that. That would be, to me, probably the scariest. Well, and whatever else is in the water. Not to put too fine a point on it. Let's take a look at the forecast for the Binghamton area. We are very fortunate with our weather today, and looking ahead the next few days, partly sunny today, a slight chance of showers this morning, high 53, partly cloudy tonight, low 38, sunny tomorrow, high 65. The weekend forecast, quite nice. Saturday, mostly sunny, high 63. Sunday, partly sunny, rain likely in the afternoon, high 60. Right now it's 44 in downtown Binghamton. That's 7 Celsius, and air quality is good. Our air quality index, 15. Yipes. Not sure that I've seen it as low as 15. Anyway, air quality is good, so all systems go here at News Radio, WNBF 929, 607-772-1290. I've been getting some response with people who are not particularly enamored with all the solar facilities that are springing up everywhere you go. Here's an email replete with pictures. This is from Mark, and he's got some pictures showing the view from his home. The view from his home, which I believe is in the town of Dickinson. Yes, I think I know pretty much where your home is, Mark, so thank you, town of Dickinson. And he sent some pictures, and now he can enjoy the beautiful view of a solar farm for the next 20 to 30 years. His email says, read through this, Bob. You would not believe what they've done to our view here, and they will be putting them everywhere. Residents need to know to be on the lookout so they can fight these solar farms. The towns and companies work together to keep it low-key so no one attends the hearings. They find out after the approvals and start of the construction, so it makes it very difficult to fight. It's not difficult to fight. It's impossible to fight. Once they get approvals and begin clearing the land, I don't think there's any stopping. You can't stop them. And I've heard from local officials, some local officials, town officials here in Broome and Tioga counties, they take a really dim view of solar farms. Not because they don't like electricity. We all want power. We all need power. We're all on a power trip. So, in fairness, people who are unimpressed with all these solar farms acknowledge that they want enough electricity to power all their devices, and certainly all of our EVs, our electric vehicles that we'll be buying by the billions over the next few years. So we need the power, but the question is, do we really need all these solar farms popping up everywhere? You know, that one there, I think the one Mark is mentioning in the town of Dickinson. Now, every time that I drive on Route 17 in Johnson City, I have to look up and see that. I don't want to see a solar farm. I want to see beautiful, beautiful trees. Well, they're gone. Too late. Town of Dickinson, they had a hearing with these guys, this is a reading from Mark's email. We had a hearing with these guys. They admitted they dropped the ball and could have done a better job notifying residents, and also said they're sorry and they understood my position. But what are you going to do? That's a state policy. So if you have problems with the proliferation of solar and wind projects, I guess you probably should contact Kathy Hochul. She's too busy trying to spend all of our money on her new stadium for those billionaires who live out of state. Look, I know now I'm getting off track, but since I brought it up, hey, you're not going to find a bigger Buffalo Bills fan, but gotta say, I don't want one penny of my hard-earned tax dollars to be used for their stadium. People that own the team have sufficient funds to build the stadium on their own and still have billions of dollars left over. So I'm in favor of the stadium project, although you do have to ask the serious question. If you're building a new stadium for the Bills and you're going to spend billions of dollars on it, why wouldn't you make it a domed facility so the people who could afford to go to Bills games in coming years would be able to enjoy themselves and not be subjected to painful wind chills? But, again, who am I? Who am I to state the obvious? 9:34 at WNBF. Let's see what else is going on here at Mission Control. Let's take a look at another WNBF.com story. I love these stories at WNBF.com. By the way, already working on a couple more to toss out there. Those who enjoy some local reporting. I've got a couple more I plan to do this afternoon at WNBF.com if you want to be informed. I'm trying to think. One story I know a lot of people like, especially women, not women only, but women especially. So if you're a woman, there is one story in particular that you need to see this afternoon at WNBF.com. But even if you are a man, you also need to see it too. But you're saying, well, give us a clue. Is it something good? Yes, it's something great. Is it something new? Yes. Will we like it? Yes, probably. Well, won't you tell us? Won't you give us a hint? No. I still haven't written the story. I've just taken the pictures, but I haven't written the story. So, but it will emerge at some point this afternoon on WNBF.com, unless there's some sort of breaking news that interferes with my coverage plans. Hi, 9:35 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Bob. It's me again, TJ. Happy Thursday.
Hey, TJ. What's up?
TJ, yeah, it's Thirsty Thursday, so the T stands for thirsty, and then the J stands for not jerky. But
yeah, drink a lot of that Tropicana orange juice. Tropicana orange juice.
Tropicana. My friend told me to go get the tart cherry juice at the Vestal Walmart. He says that helps bones. So maybe the tart cherry.
What helps your bones?
Bless my bones.
What helps your bones?
Johnson City doesn't have it. Vestal has it.
What do you say helps your bones?
I'm telling you, tart cherry juice. Only available at the Vestal Walmart, not the Johnson City one. They don't have a lot of stock of that.
Did you see the Tropicana field roof? It got blown off by Milton.
Tropicana field roof. That's why you're talking about that? Well, my friend says he's got problems with his legs, so the tart cherry juice helps his leg problems. I don't have leg problems. I don't have any really real serious health problems, but I am a blessed man. I will say that. I can still throw a good punch, and not that I ever will or have to. So what's new today? What are we doing? what's going on with the news today. I heard, who did I hear this morning? Dave from Vestal. Of course, he likes to tease you. And what happened to Jetpack Jesse? No more. He doesn't want the assembly line of the jetpacks in Owego anymore.
Well, he's still there. He's in charge. He's in charge of Owego. He's the eyes and ears. So if anything's going on in Owego, he'll let me know.
I have my flying saucer, which goes down the hills of Bennett Park, and I still want a jetpack. If they do it on the assembly line, I can get out a loan and I can get a jetpack for about $10,000. If they do them in an assembly line, jetpacks are not delusional. You don't have to be delusional. They're in your grasp, as are the Google cars. So,
you can buy a jetpack. I'm just looking now. If you have the money, go online, and the first jetpack that pops up is available for $59.99. So if you have $6,000, you can get a jetpack.
Oh,
get one. Well, why don't you get one?
I paid that for my second 2014 motorcycle.
So this jetpack, it's a JB-10. It's powered by two specially modified turbojet engines, each producing 200 pounds of thrust. So why don't you get one of them, and you can fly around Binghamton like the DJ of the future.
How far can I get up, though, with that? How far up into the air will my head hit the cables on?
As high as you want. It says operating ceiling, 15,000 feet, so that's nearly 3 miles. So listen to this.
Oh.
So are you serious about a jetpack? Do you want one?
I am very serious. Yes, I'm very serious. I could get a loan for a jetpack because I paid off all my loans.
Okay, I'm looking at the website from the company that makes them. So here are the specs. Okay. First,
I'm gonna write it down.
How much do you think a jetpack weighs?
A jetpack, I would say, with the blasters and everything, probably 25 pounds.
Nope, 83. So the jetpack that you're going to buy weighs 83 pounds.
83 pounds.
Guess what the maximum speed is? Miles per hour.
Maximum speed, miles per hour, I would say 20.
120.
Oh, 120.
Can you imagine with your jetpack, you could go from downtown Binghamton to Harvey Stinger's office in about 2.5 minutes.
What about regulations from the wonderful Governor Kathy Hochul? Because will they put...
There are none. Kathy Hochul doesn't even know about this yet. That's why we can't talk about it on the air, because as soon as we talk about it on the air, you can bet she's calling a special session of the legislature to start regulating jetpack use in New York State. So let's keep this just between us. Hush, hush. So 120 miles an hour.
What about her ozone layer? Will it put holes in her mother's head, her ozone layer?
No. Guess how long you can use it. The problem, here's one of the problems. Guess the maximum length of time you could use it per flight.
What's that?
How many minutes? What's the endurance? How many minutes do you think this jetpack?
How many minutes would I be able to use it for?
Yeah, flying around, going from Binghamton to Vestal at 120 miles an hour. How many minutes flight time do you think you have with this jetpack?
2 hours.
No, 8 minutes. So you have to plan your trip accordingly. I mean, going 120 miles an hour, so you could go, let me see, you could go from the beautiful Binghamton Now Tower to the Oakdale Commons in 8 minutes. Because you'd be going 120 miles an hour, you'd be able to just make it there. And you could go on top of the thing there for Bob and Sam's, the place where people go to drink Moxie and play checkers. Bob and Sam's over at the mall. Guess what kind of fuel? Guess what kind of fuel that you will be using for your brand new jetpack?
What kind?
Kerosene or diesel?
Oh, wow.
But you could also use Jet A1 fuel or JP8, but it can be powered by kerosene or diesel. I would probably go with kerosene. I don't like the way diesel smells when it's. On the other hand, you're flying away at 120 miles an hour, so why would you care?
Right.
Listen to this.
True.
It says this model, JB10, is very similar to the JBG, the original one, but there is an increase in fuel capacity and thrust, as well as more sophisticated computer engine controls and pilot displays. It says it's powered by two specially modified turbojet engines, each producing 200 pounds of thrust at standard atmospheric conditions. And it says the JB-10 is best known for the flights we've made over the last couple of years in America and internationally.
JB-10.
Yeah. So why don't you get yourself a jetpack if you're serious about this?
I'm going to look into it. Yeah, I'm serious.
Buy it.
My niece, who just messaged me while we were speaking, she was in Germany, now she's in Austria. Her and her husband wear the wired. I told you about the wired clothing that'll keep you warm in the winter. Because if I'm flying my jetpack in January, why? I want to be nice and toasty. So I get that online.
It just occurred to me. For all I know, Jetpack Jesse already has one of these, and he's going to surprise me someday by flying from Owego to Binghamton in his jetpack.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
You think so?
He might.
How old is he? Is he as old as he's not? He's younger than me, isn't he?
I don't know.
He's got time. We have time, Bob.
We all have time. We're all because thanks to medical technology at this point, most people listening can expect to live to be at least 130 or 140, thanks to the miracle of modern medicines. As long as, DJ, as long as you get your jabs.
Well, I've got probably at least 20 years left, so I should be able to get a jetpack, pay off the loan.
You should get some jabs. Have you gotten any jabs lately?
I give jabs. No, I've given out a lot of jabs as a teenager.
All right. Beep. Jeez. It's not the Howard Stern show. By the way, I think Kamala Harris did very well dealing with those questions from the hard-hitting Howard Stern show. 607-772-1290. Bob Joseph, live, 92.1 FM, 1290 AM. Remember, you can stay connected with this program using the free WNBF app. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this thing on? 946 at WNBF, your educational station. Let's take a look. We just got a letter here from the email from Johan in Endicott. Morning, Johan. Sorry, I took a different route in today, so I didn't drive past your place this morning, but I was on the other side of the river because, sometimes they even have news in Vestal, even if they're trying to hush it up. Bob, you're making news. You're covering the news in Vestal. We told you to stay away. We don't want coverage. So, yeah. Okay, I gave it away. One of my stories is from Vestal this morning. So let's see. Problem with email now is the access codes. It used to be simple before an era of access codes. Let's see. Oh, okay. Johan from Endicott writes, Johan points out about tart cherry juice. Johan says he has it. He has it at his store, Down to Earth in Endicott, and he's had it for decades. He said it's good for gout and other pains. I might try some of that. I don't believe I've ever had tart cherry juice. I've had tart cherry candy, but never tart cherry juice. So If it's good for pain, I may need some. I'm kidding. I don't need anything for pain. Tart cherry juice. I wonder how tart it is. Johan, write me back. How tart is tart cherry juice? Is it too tart or is it just right? That's what I need to know. I don't want it too tart. Of course, I could add sugar. No, sugar's not good for you. All right, tart cherry juice. It's on my list. 9:49 WNBF. What else is going on here in the wide world of wacky? Since I love promoting our website, WNBF.com. In addition to the stunning story with the shocking images of trees, glorious trees being chopped down for a solar farm, we also have a story about a new business in downtown Binghamton. So for the last several years, Terracotta Catering, that spot downtown in the lovely Stevens Square building at 81 State Street, that has been empty. But the glorious news is, according to WNBF.com, a new business could open up there in about 2 months. So if you want to know about that new business in part of the space that had been occupied for many years by Terracotta Catering, the event space, take a look at WNBF.com, and there are some details, which is interesting because it's my neighborhood. So anytime there's a new business that opens in Mr. Joseph's neighborhood, I think it's a good thing. All right, what else is going on here? Email. Oh, Alan from Binghamton writes. Of course, trying to get the email to open on this particular computer is, at least at the moment, an exercise in futility. But let's see. Fortunately, I have my phone, maybe. Oh, good. It opens on my phone. Alan from Binghamton writes about solar and wind. I'm not sure I like them either, referring to either solar farms or those giant wind turbines. But don't forget what Gowdy Station looked like from all over the valley. Alan from Binghamton, absolutely. I will take a solar farm or a wind farm over Gowdy Station any day. So, yes, Gowdy Station was and I know we needed the power. I'm not criticizing the people who ran it at the time. That's how you made power. You just haul in dirty coal, as much dirty coal as you could get in there on the rail cars, and dump it off at Westover and burn it, and who knows how much devastation, health devastation, and property values that were wrecked by Gowdy Station over the decades. Again, I'm just stating the truth. Who knows? I mean, obviously people had to have gotten sick from having to inhale all of that toxic soot, because tons and tons of toxic soot poured from Gowdy Station when they were making shocking quantities of electricity there. I mean, hey, I'm sure when I was a kid, I'm sure I was using the power or some of the power that was generated at Gowdy. So I'm guilty as charged. I'm complicit, an unindicted co-conspirator. But man, do you remember when they fired up one of those coal generators, say for the first time in a while, the ugly black hideosity? And I know people every once in a while the newspaper would publish a photo on days when things were particularly heinous. And it's like you look at the photo and you say, wow, that looks terrible. That looks like something you'd see in one of David Lynch's black and white student experimental pieces, Return of Eraserhead. And all you would see or think when you saw the picture of all the hideous black smoke pouring from the stacks there at Gowdy Station, you'd see that in the paper. And they'd never dare put it on the front page because it would scare too many kids and puppies. So they'd put it on page 3 or page 5 with a little caption that says something to the effect, yeah, look at this smoke from Gowdy Station. Man, it looks bad. So I remember as a kid reading that. Fortunately, we didn't live very close to Gowdy Station, but I knew people who did. I would look at the caption and say, well, yeah, that's a lot of smoke, but I always said to myself, at least people don't have to breathe that air. It's like I would mention to my mom, look at that. Look at that smoke. I mean, people don't have to breathe that air. And she said, yes, Bob, they have to breathe that air. And furthermore, there are people who live just a few blocks away from that. Not only do they have to breathe the air that's filled with carcinogenic components, but their homes every day are covered with soot. And I said, oh, you mean like the soot that we get here from IBM and Union Forging and Endicott Forging and Endicott Johnson, that kind of soot? She said, no, not that kind of soot, worse. It's 9:55 here at WNBF, WNBF.com. Oh, the good old days. Good old days when we could breathe the tainted air. Enjoy that tainted air. As these companies that were busy polluting our valley were getting awards, environmental awards from the state and federal governments. Hey, you're a great environmentally focused company as you continue to pour unspeakable quantities of chemicals into the air and into the water and burying them in the ground near our homes. Yeah, those companies, the ones that won the biggest environmental awards, were among the worst polluters. It's 9:56 at WNBF. We will have a complete update on Milton, the aftermath of the hurricane. Let's see. Governor Ron DeSantis has just given a briefing. And the bottom line is Hurricane Milton didn't turn out to be quite as bad as some people feared, but the governor points out it was bad enough. He said power outages continued to be a major issue. He said they're expecting floodwaters to rise further in the days to come.
We had over 80,000 people that were into shelters overnight as the storm hit the state. We will better understand the extent of the damage as the day progresses.
One of the biggest things now, there are shortages of gasoline in parts of Florida. For example, in the Villages, I heard on their radio station this morning, they said some of the gas stations around the Villages won't be getting a fuel delivery till Friday or Saturday.
Ensuring that fuel is flowing. Hopefully we get our gas stations and big box stores and everything open very quickly. I'd imagine that will likely happen, and just get people back on their feet.
And we'll have more from ABC News coming right up. You're listening to Binghamton Now. I'm Bob Joseph, WNBF. And we continue on this Thursday morning, 10:10, and it's 10:10. And no, it's not 10:10 wins. It's 10:10 WNBF. We're joined now live by the mayor of Johnson City, Martin Maney. Good morning.
Good morning, Bob. How you doing today?
Good. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Just quickly before we get started, I don't know if anybody from Florida is listening, but I'm sure there's a lot of people in this area that have family and friends in Florida, and just the village board and the Johnson City community would like to extend their thoughts and prayers to all those that have been so severely affected by not the Helene, but also now Milton, which is really, it's sad to see, but our hearts and prayers are with them.
And I join you with that thought. And we do have listeners who are with us, I think, every day. The statistics or the readout shows, I don't see the readout all the time, but the readout shows we have a pretty loyal audience in Florida, former Johnson City and Binghamton and Endicott and Appalachian residents. And so they do follow along with our program to keep track of what's going on back in their hometown. So we certainly wish them the best. I have relatives in Florida in the villages, and unfortunately for them, based on what their early assessment looks like, they made it through relatively unscathed. They said they had to go out this morning to check on the status of their roof, but hopefully they're okay. And at least for many of our listeners in the villages or that area of Florida, they appear to be okay. But we know there are other people who probably usually listen to us who may not even be able to hear us today because they may not have power or internet, or may just be dealing with floodwaters and serious wind damage. Yes, no. I've got a brother in Bonita Springs and a cousin in Orlando, so hopefully, yesterday got a text, everything's okay, we're hunkering down, but this morning I haven't heard anything yet. But the cell service could be down, who knows? Well, and that's the thing. Widespread power outages, yes, phone outages, and internet outages to be expected. Yeah. Fortunately, the silver lining was there was a fair amount of warning, so people could take some steps to prepare. You couldn't be 100% prepared, right, but at least it's not one of those things like a tornado that suddenly pops up, and that's another thing. There were tornadoes, multiples, that have caused additional problems besides the hurricane. So, but thank you for starting our segment off with that note, and we'll continue to provide the updates from ABC News and from AP today and in the coming days. So now let's turn our attention to not just from the villages in Florida, but to the village of Johnson City. What's the biggest thing right now? Say if you were writing the Johnson City News, say Johnson City had its own newspaper that came out, what would your top story today be for the village of Johnson City? If you were the editor, what would your top story be this morning? Boy, it would, there's multiples. It would be broken down into bullet points, probably. Monday, there was a public hearing here for 435 Main Street, which is the old Johnson City High School or the Knight-Penn Trade Center, where they're going to be installing 48 one-bedroom market-rate apartments, 10 one-bedroom market-rate apartments, and they have a commercial tenant for the gymnasium in the back that's going to take up roughly 10,000 of the 20,000 square feet that's there. And they anticipate starting and ramping up towards the latter part of this year. So that's exciting. Did they have they publicly identified the commercial tenant? No, they have not. I will wait for them to disclose the tenant, but it's a good quality tenant, and it's not Chick-fil-A. No, sir. No. Bob, as soon as I find out if it's coming, like I've told you multiple times, you're going to be the first phone call I know. But people would say, Bob, you had the perfect opportunity to ask him directly if it's Chick-fil-A. I knew it wasn't, but people would say, but Bob, what if just in the, by surprise, they decided to open up a stealth Chick-fil-A before they open up the real one at where? And it's like, well, I didn't think about it. I didn't want to bother him with such wacky questions. But bottom line is, as you say, they'll make their own announcement. But yes. But know, you've been privately informed, and you think people will be pleased. Yes, it's going to be beneficial to the community. Good. Okay. Well, that gives me something to look forward to. Yes. And I will say, I decided on Monday, since the public hearing was coming up that Tuesday afternoon, I thought since I hadn't been in that school building, the Penn Trade Center, in a while, that I would stop by, because it is still a publicly accessible facility, because it hasn't been sold yet. It's still owned by the previous owners, correct? It's
correct. They anticipate closing. Their schedule is either the end of this month or the end of next month, depending on how things line up. We all know how sometimes you get a date for a closing and then, oh, wait, this T wasn't crossed and that I wasn't dotted, and it just pushes things out.
But it is on track.
Oh, yes, very much so.
And I did go through, I took a circuitous route. I had never been in the building going through the back way, and it's
right.
To me, it's mesmerizing, because that building, I think the last time I was in the building, or one of the last times, was on its 100th anniversary, because it opened as a school on Labor Day. Well, not Labor Day, right after Labor Day, September 8th, 1915. That Johnson City High School on Main Street opened the same day that the Binghamton High School to the east and Union Endicott High School to the west. All three of those high schools opened on the same day in 1915.
I did not know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and on the 100th anniversary of that happening, in 2015, it just so happened it was Labor Day, so obviously the Binghamton and Endicott schools were closed for the holiday, but because the Penn Trade Center was still open for business even on a holiday, because tenants are still going to be doing things potentially every day. So I went actually in that building on its 100th anniversary, and it was just something, to me, intriguing about it. Thinking back that a century earlier, that's when the place, at least the first half, as you probably know, that the school was built in two halves.
Two sections, yeah.
The east side opened first, and then the west side, I think, opened about a year later. But just being in there and seeing some of the remnants, things like lockers and some of the classrooms and the main office, it was fascinating to sort of walk around that school and think about Johnson City history.
Yeah, and that's just especially, walking through the doors 100 plus years later. That's very cool. I'm glad you're able to do that.
Yeah. It's a solid building.
Yeah,
and that's the one thing, even though it opened for classes 109 years ago, the place structurally is still solid, and that's why obviously the plan by Mark Lane to construct 58 apartments inside there, that's why this building is going to have yet another chapter, in some ways similar to what was done with the Victory Lofts project not too far away, the old EJ factory that turned into, I believe, 156 market rate apartments.
Yes, that are fully occupied, which is impressive.
Yeah, it is. It's 10:20 WNBF, so work on that project actually could start at the site by the end of the year?
Yes, that's their goal. When I was speaking with Mark Lane Tuesday night here after the public hearing, that's the goal. So, once they close on it, they're ready to roll. So it's going to be exciting. That's just going to, a lot of the development in our downtown kind of stopped at the hospital. So now this is a couple blocks west of the hospital, so that'll be nice.
Well, I could see where it would be convenient for people who work at UHS.
Yes.
Whether doctors, nurses, or other support personnel, because it's so close, walking distance to the hospital, or potentially people who work at the Health Sciences campus, Binghamton University Health Sciences facilities along Corliss Avenue.
Yes, and so a good segue. Another bullet point: 18 Park Street. They're currently Binghamton University is currently going through there with the asbestos abatement and the renovations to convert that into their occupational therapy and speech therapy facilities, keeping with the Health and Sciences campus. So they're repurposing that building. And, again, Binghamton University continues to grow their footprint in Johnson City, and it's been such a positive impact. We're glad that Harvey's still, he's got beautiful vision, and he still pushes to bring life back into Johnson City to some of these factories that were, I think that was 20 years that the 18 Park Street sat vacant, so just to see life back in that is awesome.
And you mentioned the new use for that, so that's part of the things that are currently located over. Is that similar to what they currently have over at the former newspaper building over on Gannett Drive?
Yes. No G word.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry. I'll delete that in the West Coast feed. Yeah, over at Bleep Drive.
Yeah. Yes. That's because they're going to be moving their research and development and training facilities for the battery operations into that structure. So that's 18 Park Street. They're renovating that so they could move those classrooms over there. So
how soon do you think 18 Park Street will be in operation? Do you have a sense?
I believe when I spoke with Harvey, between 18 and 24 months.
All right, because I have been monitoring that, and you're right, there's been a lot of preliminary activity with work over the last several weeks, the asbestos abatement and some other preliminary work for the renovation. That's a solid building. That former Ozalid building also it appears to be, at least from the outside, to be in very good shape.
Yes. No, and they're finding now, like everything, where air conditioning wasn't something that was common when the building was constructed. They renovate, they blew holes into the walls to put air conditioning units in. Now the dilemma, like Harvey's saying, we've got to find bricks that match.
But they will.
Yes, exactly. But that's stuff that is obviously going to hamper or put behind your schedules. If you can't find the things, you have to wait for them, or if they have to manufacture them, that just puts your schedule back. And then if we'll move a little bit east of that, we'll come down Lester Ave. And again, the original tentative was tomorrow for the opening of the Lester Ave Bridge, but it's, we'll just follow the yellow brick road down Lester Ave, and hopefully by the end of this month that the bridge will be open, which will, again, free up a lot of the traffic flow into that part of the village and into the shopping center and, to Walmart. And, it's just a delay. A lot of people, when we had the idea meeting here the other night, people, they showed up like 10 minutes later. Oh my God, I forgot the bridge was out, and I had a detour, and I got messed up on the detour. And so hopefully that inconvenience will be something that people will be, me personally, I'll probably forget that the bridge is open and come the way I've been coming for the last 7 months.
I spoke with the project contractor, the guy who's overseeing the project for Vector Construction, Thomas Anderson, the other day after I spoke with you about this. And he did say that they do expect to be able to have the bridge reopened for vehicular and pedestrian traffic at the end of the month. He did say that, and paving could start next week. It's weather dependent, but I would say by a week from today, if there are no weather snags, that some paving operations on the bridge will start. That's his goal. And he did point out one thing, and I don't know if you had mentioned this, or maybe it was the Director of Services, but the one thing that will not be complete on the bridge will be the lighting right at the center, because they're expecting delivery delays on the poles that they need for the lighting at the center of the bridge. And those poles may not be installed till late December or early January because of fabrication delays.
Yeah, you're 100% correct on that. The approaches, the lights for the approaches are there, and they'll be lit. But yes, I think there's 3 lights that'll be across the middle that won't be until sometime in December.
It's 10:20. Continue.
I was just going to say, I see a lot of the progress because our officers are right here, and they've been loading up the heavy equipment the last couple of days to get that out of here. So hopefully then that just means they're going to be bringing the concrete trucks in to pour the concrete for the sidewalks, and they'll be bringing the asphalt in to pave the approaches. Yeah, it looked like a lot of progress had been made when I stopped by there on Monday. So it looks like it's coming right along, and soon the detour will be just a thing of the past. Oh, speaking of detours, since we're in that general area of the village, and people always want me to do a quick update every time you're on the program just about the status of the Arch project. For people who haven't been following along, of course, basically the entire Arch structure, except for the two bases on either side of the street, they were removed several weeks ago, but the plans still are in place to eventually have the reconstructed and safer Arch back in place, maybe by this time next year? That is the plan. We're currently waiting for the rest of the quotes to come in. The good thing is we don't have to rebid the project. This falls under a change order. It's a massive change order. So that'll cut some time down. And once all the figures come in, then we'll know how fast we can move forward. But it is our plan to have the Arch back up, a new and improved, safer Arch back up by this time next year. And did you say that it's going to be a new color? Purple and pink? Is that? No. Maybe, the way things are going at Johnson City right now, maybe we could make it emerald, like, you're coming into the Emerald City. Yes, that would be an interesting twist. Especially with Binghamton University's presence, their color, it might not be a bad thing, but no. It's going to look exactly like the Arch did that was there. The pillars we're going to repurpose the stones, all the stones that are good that we can repurpose to do the piers or the pillars. And then the Arch is going to come in two sections and precast, and it'll be put up in, hopefully, we're hoping that we won't have to close Main Street down like we did when we started the project, that we'd only have to shut a lane down at a time. So there'll still be through traffic on Main Street, and it just won't be a long time. Conceptually, it's going to look really nice, and it's going to last a long time, and it's going to, it'll have not neon. The Arch had neon lights on it at one time, so we're not going neon, but there'll be some lighting through it. Capstone's going to be the original capstone with the globe light on the top. So I'm excited to see it when it goes back up, and I know, there's a lot of people that still have a big attachment to Endicott Johnson and what they did for the entire community. And we can't, some people say history belongs in the books, but this is a part of history that it has to be tangible. People have to see it. So that's why we're moving forward with putting the Arch back up. And as far as you mentioned it has to be rebid, but as far as the schedule that we have been discussing over the last few months is still attainable, or does it seem like that may slip a bit? No, as far as, in speaking with the Director of Public Services, that the goal is it'll be done by this time next year. Again, that dependent again on who comes in with the best price because it's going to be precast and, their availability. But that's why we're not shooting for summer. We're shooting for the end of the construction season. It's 10:30. We're speaking with Johnson City Mayor Martin Maney. We'll talk more about what's going on in the village coming up. I'm Bob Joseph on WNBF. More Johnson City news. One thing, I know that you probably haven't been apprised, but it's the one new facility that hasn't officially opened over on Corliss Avenue, and we're talking with the mayor, Martin Maney. The research and development facility, I think for all intents and purposes, certainly the exterior of the building is done, the sign is up, and I've been told virtually everything inside is complete, so looks like they could start moving in anytime, but I know you haven't been told exactly
when the research and development site will be officially open?
No, I haven't. They used kind of, held their cards close to the vest on this one. So I don't know if they're just going to walk in and it's going to be quiet and leave it at that. I honestly don't know.
I think it'd be good for them to invite Governor Hochul for the opening of that whenever she's available.
Well, that's nice.
Well, I'm just saying, that's nice. If that's the case, I won't be invited, but at least I'll be able to watch it on video because they'll put it on their video stream. So be something for me to look forward to, here at the studio.
She wasn't. She was not in attendance when they announced the research and development facility.
I noticed that. Yeah.
So,
I don't understand that. I mean, hey, whatever. You have to prioritize. Probably trying to find more money for that fabulous multi-billion-dollar stadium for the Bills. So, there go our tax dollars. But we can't say anything bad about it, or else we'll wind up being put on a list. We don't want to be perceived to be critical in any way. Let's see what else. Oh, one project that we are also anxiously anticipating, another housing project on Riverside Drive and at Davis College campus. To the best of my knowledge, that property sale hasn't actually been finalized. I think it could happen maybe at any time, but as far as I know, the developers have yet to take possession of that Davis College campus.
Yes, we met with the developers last Monday, and they have all their financing in line. They have a general contractor, and everything is going forward. They anticipate closing by Thanksgiving. And so once they close, they've been doing a lot of their due diligence with the general contractor in there and going through the buildings. They're very excited for it to move forward. So now that they've got, a firm grasp on closing, I'm sure once they close, you'll see within 18 months that that'll be up and running.
Well, that'll be big. Any other, again, speaking of housing, and here's a project that at least there is activity now going on at the site at 333 Grand Avenue. That project by Regan Development at the former Philadelphia sales site. And I know a few weeks ago it was nice to see that the initial work for the brownfield component of that site had started. We had Gabe Regan from Regan Development on the program a few weeks ago, and he's excited that their apartment project is finally moving forward on Grand Avenue.
Yes, that's, I believe, 72 workforce units, and I don't know if they've changed their commercial tenant, but the commercial tenant has all along been a daycare center, which we know daycare is definitely needed in this area. As soon as one opens up, it fills up. So that would be awesome.
And it also, I think, should work well because of the relatively new organization that is now in the neighborhood across the street, Mothers and Babies. Their operation has been there, I think, for several months. So it seems like that is sort of transformational for that part of Grand Avenue.
Yes, they definitely, they're complementary to each other. And, it's that field has sat for probably 12 or 15 years where that's just been vacant and open. And just, again, to see development there, hopefully it continues to transform that part of the village as well. I think that, it's going to be a good positive change.
Any other new housing projects that are being contemplated?
Well,
the Oakdale Commons. That's right. Yes. I'm losing track. I'm trying to hit all of the housing projects, but Oakdale Commons, isn't that supposed to be, I believe, a 102 unit complex that they're planning on the north end of the property?
Yes, and it's again, it's going to be between 1 and 2 bedrooms, and it's going to be workforce, and that's going to be a big project, and I know they're moving forward. I don't know if they were doing site work there or they're just, because I know they have to do some storm drainage repairs on the west side of the mall. So I don't know if they're staging that back there at the north end or if they're actually starting to do some site work back there at the north end. But I know they've received a very significant grant from New York State to do the infrastructure so they could get moving on that project. And we'll come back into the middle of the village. We've got 19 Avenue B that is out for RFP, and they have about 6 weeks to submit whoever wants to submit. I know there's a couple of groups working on proposals now to submit their proposals so we could review and decide if we want to move forward with that.
Are those proposals that you've heard about, are they residential or commercial?
Yes. Yeah, the one is a residential component. Not sure where that's going to fall yet. Whether it's going to be market rate senior or workforce, no idea. They're just going through their due diligence now to look at it. The other project also was going to be residential, and they were doing their market analysis to see if it's viable and what type of housing would work best for it as well.
Hopping back over to Oakdale Commons, a new batch of tenants also is being planned for, and I think the last time you were on, you mentioned Five Below, which already has a presence not far away, but their new location would be at Oakdale Commons, and there are a few other things too that I think should be intriguing for people as the Oakdale Commons project, the redevelopment project, moves forward.
Yes, no, there's I believe it's been announced that 5 guys is going to be moving in there, and there's still the ongoing expansion of the Guthrie / Lord's complex where Burlington Coat used to be. That they're still moving forward with that as well.
Yeah, so 5 guys, I think, would be where Ruby Tuesday was.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Plus, I heard there's going to be a sandwich shop also that's going in at one of the spots that it used to be another purveyor of sandwiches, and I see at least another interesting retailer will be there.
You know more than I do, Bob. You should be in this office.
I'm not going to. Stay tuned.
Start calling you Oz. You're the all-powerful Oz.
Yeah. Well, WNBF.com will keep you posted. I say stay tuned. It's not going to be today. Well, maybe it will be today. I don't know. The problem with WNBF.com, I have so many story ideas, and there's only so much I could do each day. So sometimes I have to. It's like scheduling flights over JFK at 5 p.m. Trying to figure out, how, what slot can we put this in? Let's see. Oh, have you heard anything more about remember the craft brew place that was in the old Endicott?
Oh, yeah, Binghamton Brewery.
Yeah, and I keep hearing that they're still intent on opening up at the new location over at the Sunrise Century apartment complex. Yeah. What have you heard anything more about their plans?
I know that Kristen was in and was speaking with our director of planning, and she's moving forward. She is also in the DRI.
Right.
And again, the caveat to the DRI is you have to wait until the contract is in place before you could do anything, because if you do stuff prior, you're not going to get your reimbursements. They don't consider prior work something that they would reimburse. So and that's actually put a damper on some of these projects where these people really want to get going, and they don't have a contract in place yet from whatever state agency is going to be administering the grant. So hopefully, we're hoping that they're going to start releasing the funds sometime in the first quarter of 2025, if not the second quarter. I think it's kind of stifling growth, and We did a lot of research. We were the ones that submitted the plans. If the state entrusted us, a municipality within the state, to administer the funds and report back to them how they've been administered, we'd see progress right now. We'd see these funds being dispersed.
All right. Well, I know when I think the last time I saw Kristen, and I asked her, didn't have time to chat long, but it was just more in passing, it was not too many months ago, and she said that they were planning to move forward. But to your point about DRI, and that might be one of the misconceptions about that state downtown revitalization initiative, and I've talked with some business people, obviously it is a good thing to boost some areas of upstate New York, but the hurdles or the regulatory strings that come attached to the support can sometimes be overwhelming. You got to really make sure. I think every project gets assigned a special person, a handler, and you have to make sure every step of the way that you do it the right way. And you don't get your money till after you've already spent. So you have to find sufficient financing, and then you may have to hang on for several months before that money is reimbursed, assuming you did it the right way. Right. No, and that's what we're doing right now is we're lining up our financing because we have 3 major projects that are within the DRI. So we're getting our numbers together now so we can line up our financing. So when we can do the projects, and then we'll seek reimbursement. And we've got Workers Park, which is adjacent to the library. The plans for that are amazing. Mr. Johnson's going to finally be moved from the hidden spot that he's in up to a prominent spot on the corner of Leicester and Main. And that I'm really excited to see that park come to fruition. We've got our Wilbur Alley project, which is going to transform Wilbur Alley. We're going to shut it down, and it's going to transform it into a gathering space, which there's really no, for lack of a better term, a village square in Johnson City. So hopefully that it's right in the middle of the downtown. It'll bring people up. It'll let people have a nice spot to gather outside. And lastly, our streetscapes for downtown, which, again, I'm excited to see because it's going to transform the Main Street's not going to look so sterile. It's gonna have some character and quality to it. Oh, speaking of Main Street, 200 Main Street used to be a Grand Union, and then it was, I think, Price. And a Save-A-Lot. Save-A-Lot. So it's been any number of things over the decades, and then Save-A-Lot got squeezed out of there, which was kind of disappointing because I know a lot of people really patronized the store and enjoyed the selection of items and the prices, and then they basically were told hit the road because the lucrative plasma industry was moving into Johnson City. Now, I know they had to have spent substantial amounts of money to modernize the outside and the inside of the building, and yet it just sits there waiting for plasma donors. I know lots of plasma donors or would-be plasma donors who thought they were going to get paid money to donate their plasma. Now they're out of luck. They have to go to Endwell to sell their plasma. What's the deal with the plasma place? That's a great question. I have no idea. It's been a mystery. They went through and they did all the renovations to that, and it still sits with the construction fence around the parking lot and the sign turned so you can't really see it. I don't know. And they did sink significant money into that structure. And one would think that if you're going to invest that much money into something that you would really want to get up and running to start to see some return on your investment. Oh, I thought of something. I won't mention it on the air, but I just thought of something about what might happen there. I think well, it's just a theory, but I certainly can't. You can't talk about theories on the air. At 10:47. But still in that general area, since we didn't touch on it today, but we almost always make reference to it since it's in that vicinity between Main Street and Corliss Avenue. Have you heard whether Binghamton University managed to make an offer to that guy who still owns that apartment house over on Lewis Street, an offer he can't refuse, so they can get the building and tear it down so they can go forward with their green space project?
Again, that was another topic that I discussed with Harvey the other day, and he's just like, we can't be held hostage, and that's pretty much what it is. So I think both sides have agreed to be, well, it is what it is, which is unfortunate. But he's asking not only a king's ransom, but a whole royal family ransom for the property. And I don't think BU is willing to go down that road. It sets a bad precedent anyway.
Well, and to be fair, I've looked at some of the prices that the BU Foundation paid for some of the properties that they wanted for this green space or park project, and some of the prices I was actually somewhat shocked. I mean, well over market value, but I guess there are limits.
Right, and I think with some of the properties, though, when speaking, they take the some people, this was their investment. They were rental properties, so they calculated, all right, rents for so many, for an X amount of period, and I think they rolled that in, which is more than fair. And it's just, right. It's too bad that there's always that one.
Well,
you're never going to get around.
Hey, I'm not being judgmental. If I owned the property, I'd probably be that one and be a thorn in everyone's side.
Right.
But
the bottom line is, though, the money. Where's the money originally come from? You and I.
Right.
So at least they're being prudent with our money as well.
Well, I agree.
We got to look at it that way.
Yeah.
Too.
No, it's it's just one of those things. So did you get a sense, though, from your latest conversation that they, at this stage, given so much time has passed and no agreement, that they would finally be prepared to move forward without using that property and get going on developing that park space?
I think they're exploring options right now, and time will tell. It's just you don't want to, again, sink a lot of money into making a beautiful green space and designing it around the holdout, and then find out once you start construction and you're moving into it, hey, you know what? Fine, I'll take it. Give me what you're going to give me.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens then.
Yeah.
It's like anything.
And not to mention, it would also, if they do that, now this guy's going to be in the middle of a beautiful park. He can ask for higher rent.
Who knows? Maybe he does have a point. Rebrand it. Green Space Lofts.
Right.
There you go. You can add another 50% to the rent easily. It's 10:51 WNBF. We still have more to come with the Mayor of Johnson City, Marty Maney, on Binghamton Now. Stay tuned. It's 10:53 with a focus this hour on the village of Johnson City, and we're speaking with Mayor Martin Maney. So one of the stories that we have been following for several months is the real possibility that a street in the village is going to be renamed, a street that was once named for a business. And for our sensitive viewers, I'll warn them, if you're a sensitive viewer, I'm going to mention the name in just a second, so you might want to look away from your radio. But anyway, so there is a street renaming initiative that actually is going to move forward, correct, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and now...
Are you sitting down?
Well, I'm standing up here at the controls, and you might want to just take the phone away from your ear just for 5 seconds here while I mention the name of the street, the current name. Okay, everybody, look away. We're about to talk about the street known at the moment as Gannett Drive. There, I said it. Okay, you can have your parents resume listening. Okay, Mayor, it's okay.
Okay.
So tell us about, and again, you no longer have to say that word because I've said it. So give us a little history of what happened there without specifying the name of the party involved. But this dates back over a decade to when that site was first used for a big project on a brownfield site, which was supported by New York State and local tax dollars.
Yes. I'm happy to announce, and it's going to be before our village board at Tuesday night's meeting, that the road formerly known as, I'm going to have to say it, Gannett, is going to be renamed University Boulevard.
I wish I had a drum roll.
Right.
Because I've been thinking about a whole bunch of names that could be applied there to make it more relevant and actually more palatable to the people of Johnson City and Broome County. And I wouldn't say this is exactly the type of exciting name I had in mind, but it sounds appropriate.
Yes, it does. And personally, I was hoping, since it's going to be their research and development facility for batteries, Electric Avenue, just listen to Eddie Grant cruising up and down the street. I thought would be cool. But it's stately, and it's I know they're going to rebrand the building as well. So we won't have to refer to it as the printing plant. So I'll leave that announcement up to President Stanger and the university. But it's fitting. The Binghamton University has taken and invested a lot of money into Johnson City. So, having that street that only has 2 residents on it, 2 facilities, which would be the R&D facility and Walmart. So it doesn't have a huge impact on anybody having to change their names, their addresses, or anything like that. But it's fitting, and I'm happy it's finally done.
And so that'll come before the village board next week.
Yes, Tuesday at our meeting on the 15th.
And then how soon could signs be made and then erected?
Oh, I'm going to have to talk to the Director of Public Services about that, but I wouldn't think it'd be more than a couple of weeks.
All right. Will you let me know?
I certainly will. I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Or give me a heads up. I'll be there and I'll take a video.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
Well, there you go. A little bit of news as we end our segment. Mayor Martin Maney, thank you.
Thanks for having me, Bob. You enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay. Thanks for all the Johnson City news. It's 10:57. Listening to WNBF and WNBF.com. Today is Thursday, another great day in Mr. Joseph's neighborhood. Thanks for dropping by. Complimentary coffee available for those who are on the VIP list. So if you're on the VIP list, get set to enjoy an exquisite blend. The exclusive Binghamton Now blend with beans that were hand-selected by you-know-who. Yes, you-know-who hand-selects each and every coffee bean that goes into the exclusive Binghamton Now blend. Some people, when they see the convenient 10-ounce bag of freshly roasted coffee, do a double take when they see the price, and then I say, but have you enjoyed? Have you had your first sip of Binghamton Now blend? And once they've experienced it, they say it is well worth the price. Let's take a look here, see if we've got any more emails. Oh, by the way, thank you. Just wanted to say hello to Stephen. Actually, sometimes, this is true, sometimes people send an email, and a listener did, with a question. If you put your phone number on your email, sometimes during a brief news break, I may call you and give you a personal answer to, if you have a question about a news story. I can't do it all the time. So if you send an email, and it's, if it's a relevant question, if it's a question that's totally bizarre, I don't have time to call people and answer totally bizarre questions, but if it's a relevant question, I certainly am pleased to give you information, what I know. I know, you're saying, but Bob, don't you tell us everything you know on the program? And the answer to that, sadly, is no. I can't tell you everything I know on the air. tell you a lot of what I know, not everything. So if you send an email, bob@WNBF.com, and you have a relevant question about something going on around here, I'll do my best to answer. If I can't call you, if you give me the phone number, I may actually call you, talk with you for a couple of minutes if I have time. Otherwise, I'll try to give you a decent answer by email, but we're here for you. Here's one. DMV cites 300 concert goers for trying to buy alcohol with fake IDs. Yikes. So the DMV now is trying to stop people from drinking. Really, don't drink. Just go and smoke some weed. Who is this?
It's Beverly.
Oh, yeah. And you like that?
Yeah.
Don't drink. Smoke weed.
No, I haven't. You know, Bob, I haven't drank since 1975 after my mother passed away.
Yeah, well, that's a good decision. I admire that.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. When my mother passed away, there was aunts and uncles in this house, and all they did is drink. They drank probably about 8 bottles of wine, and I don't know how much whiskey and all that.
Right.
I said to my father, that's it.
Yeah. No, you have to draw the line at some point. What's on your mind?
I got a question. Do you remember those signs that were out for Burma Shave?
I never saw one, but I know what you're referencing because I've seen pictures of the Burma Shave signs, but I never saw one. I think they were in the South.
No, we had them here in New York. Because
around here?
Yeah, they had as we went up the highway or something like that. We used to see all these signs. Oh,
I didn't know they had them in New York State.
Yeah,
I don't.
They had them in New York State. Yeah, they had them. A lot of them in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe when we were traveling around, maybe I was too busy playing video games on my phone to look out the window and see the signs when we were going on our vacation.
This was probably when I was a little girl, probably.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking. I punched them up on my screen, so I see some signs. They still have some signs, or apparently did not too long ago, on Route 66. You know that one where they say get your kicks on Route 66? That one? And it says...
I've heard of it.
Yeah, they have a bunch of the signs preserved, and it's because they're red and white signs. And it says, the first one says, big mistake. The next one says, many make. Rely on horn instead of Burma shave break. I don't know what it's supposed to mean, but I guess you're supposed to buy Burma shaves. So, but I didn't even know they had them around here.
I don't know how much whiskey and all that said to my father back then.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate the call. I'm going to have to do more research. I didn't think, well, maybe they've got one on Route 962J. Maybe the DOT put it up by mistake. It's 11:17 at WNBF, your radio station, Burma Shave. Now I have to look up in the Binghamton newspaper archives to see if there's any reference to Burma Shave signs around here. Because let's see, Burma Shave signs. Well, if you remember seeing any Burma Shave signs around the Binghamton area, let me know. Because I myself, I never saw them, but I see there was a guy who had a newspaper column over at the Press back in 1948 made reference to the signs, but I don't see where it says anywhere around here. Anyway, if you remember Burma Shave signs. And for those of you who don't really know even what this Burma Shave was, they say it was shaving cream. Famous for the advertising gimmick of posting humorous rhyming poems on small sequential highway road signs. So, we're almost at the 100th anniversary of the Burma Shave. It was introduced in 1925, and they put all sorts of crazy ingredients in it. Burma Shave. And then apparently, let's see, trying to see when they shut down the idea. Well, maybe they still have it somewhere. I think they should start putting up those signs, like along the Vestal Parkway or George F. Highway. Put up a bunch of Burma Shave signs just to make things look nicer. It's 11:19 at WNBF, WNBF.com. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Well, good morning, Robert. This is Michael from Windsor. Thank you for taking my call. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Michael?
We're fine. We're doing good. I just wanted to give a shout out to everyone about the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer this weekend at Otsiningo Park. Registration's at 9 o'clock till 9:45 if you don't do it ahead of time. And the walk is at 10:30, and it's for a great cause. This goes to our community. I just wanted to bring that up to everyone because we need positive news, not political news.
Oh, okay. Well, if you don't want to hear political news, then don't listen to the rest of the program.
Uh-oh, that's not a good sign.
Well, just a warning. It's the only reason I say that is we haven't had much political news so far. So I always look at the show. We have to have some political news in, and we did have a little bit with the first call a couple of hours ago, but that wasn't much. And then for the most part, I think I've assiduously avoided politics today. But, like they say...
Well, you really need a break from it.
Yeah, but...
We got more important problems down in Florida right now.
Well, I agree on that. I think all Americans can agree when it comes to helping the people affected by the disaster that's still unfolding now. We can be united. We ought to be united about that.
Exactly. No, I agree 100%.
But by the same token, and again, I guess this serves as a warning between now and noon, it doesn't mean there won't be some political news. There will be. Because we only have 26 days till the election. So my view is every day we have to have a little political news. But, it doesn't have to be our primary focus. Unless it's up to the listeners. I mean, the listeners actually drive this thing.
Well, there's enough already on the television.
There's never enough. Never, ever enough.
It's gotten out of control.
Well, that I agree, but,
It really has. And I hope everyone votes smartly with their brains. I really do.
I agree.
I'm not going to say either way.
No.
It doesn't matter. But vote.
Vote.
Get out there.
Yeah. Do your research and give it some thought.
Exactly. But I wanted to just chime in about making strides against breast cancer. Otsiningo Park, if you didn't pre-register, 9 to 9:45 is registration. There's some announcements, and then the walk begins at 10:30, and we're going to be there.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
You're very welcome, Bob. It was nice talking to you. And if I don't again, have a great weekend.
You as well. It's 11:22 WNBF with Bob Joseph. And yes, the topicality could be local topics, and it can be good news. Or it could be something else. And it doesn't always have to be all politics all the time. But some people, I'm sure... I can almost guarantee some people will want to talk about politics between now and noon. What can I say? It's a free country. 607-772-1290. You're listening to Binghamton Now on your Thursday morning on WNBF. 11:25. Still live, still in living color. Vinny from Binghamton. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Bob. Good morning. Hey, I thought about this a couple weeks ago about people that call in and talk about politics. And I just want to say that, there's three kinds of politics. There's the soft, the regular, and the hard politics. Let me give you an example. John from Binghamton calls in many times, and he talks politics because he talks about going to these village meetings, these town meetings, any of these board meetings, these school meetings, and he's giving information of those that aren't there of what's going on in your schools and your counties and all that kind of stuff. Okay, that's a type of politics. Airport Bob calls in. He tells you about what's going on in his neighborhood, what's going on in his area, and how he disagrees with it. And here's my solution. So he's talking about like another ground politics. You just had a mayor on here from Johnson City. That's politics. That's letting you know what's going on in the city. It's information. Whereas I like talking about national politics of what's going on. Like something like Kamala Harris. From the time she started, Bob, she only had 74 days until the election. She's raised $1 billion already. $1 billion. That's big.
Well, that's a lot of cash money.
Exactly.
I mean,
so what's good about that?
I mean, think about this. Even Barack Hussein Obama, I don't believe, ever raised $1 billion.
No, well, Joe Biden beat him. Joe Biden beat him when he ran last time, and now Kamala Harris beat Joe Biden. So what's good about that money? No, she should start writing checks. Get these local, because I'm going to tell you, when it comes to the House, New York State is in play. We are in play, and don't.
Do you think that's why the most expensive race is right here, right in the 19th district, where they're spending? I mean, all you have to do is listen to the radio or watch TV or be online. And I'm telling you, these candidates and their supporters, both Republican and Democratic candidates, I mean, this is, if I could be so bold, this is serious business.
Oh, absolutely. And I love what Josh Riley's doing. Go right for that border, man. Let's see how serious, because I'm telling you, they're not serious. That's why I asked, one thing I would ask Molinaro was, did you go to your speaker and ask him why won't you let this bill come to the floor? If it has bells and whistles on it, let us debate this on the floor. You didn't even let it go to the floor. As a matter of fact, you said this bill is dead on arrival. It's like you didn't even give us a chance, Democrats, to even look at the bill, the Senate bill, look at all these parts and pieces of it, and let's vote on it. Now, and once again, you're welcome. Joe in Owego, you're welcome. But did you hear him? He read it. He said there's a lot of parts to that bill, a lot. And he goes, can we see two people debate on it? I think you could have one. The other one won't. I'm telling you, he won't. But that's the power of, having these debates and talking about this stuff. Because believe it or not, this stuff affects us. And we can't keep talking about this stuff, Bob. And let's do something. We need a solution. And we have to recognize, we have to get the information, Bob, and know what we're talking about. So when a solution comes by, we can see it. Hey, that looks pretty good. Let's debate it and let's try it.
All right. Appreciate your call. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure how many Americans would actually really want to see anything done. I think a lot of Americans are pretty happy just having these issues linger on and on and on and on. Like that song, on and on. No end in sight, ever. John from Binghamton, you're on the air.
Just to show you that I've been listening this morning, three things. Burma Shave. There was a Burma Shave sign or signs in the vicinity, as I've lived here all my life, that read, around the corner lickety-split, beautiful car wasn't it. Burma Shave. Those signs and signs like that were really to wake up drivers, so to speak, to safe travel. Secondly...
But do you have any idea where they were around the Triple Cities? Yeah. Okay.
I started by saying that because I do know that I remember it as a kid seeing it. So it had to be somewhere near here. Maybe into Pennsylvania. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was in New York State. But secondly, Flo and Floyd, we already have Emu and Doug, if you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I know.
And Vinny, he says he talks politics, but he really talks hate because he always talks about how he hates Trump people. So that's not really politics, Vinny.
Well, I never heard him say he hates anyone. He disagrees vehemently. He disagrees on the issues. I never heard him say he hated Trump supporters.
I got to tell you this from the word that I used the last time I called, vitriol. That's what you hear. That's what you hear from Vinny. Vitriol. Okay, so that's the three things I want to talk about.
All right, thanks, John. 11:32. Less vitriol and more harmony. Let's go to Owego. Jesse, you're on the air.
All right, we must have a full moon out there that I can't see today, Bob. Boy, DJ had me cracking up to no end. He didn't have any subject matter for some reason. I was a little concerned. He just called in and didn't seem to have. I think the gist of the call was, "Hey, what's going on?" And it's like, I don't know. You've been listening to the program, man. I haven't laughed so hard, and it's like, wow, when you bring up Jetpack Jesse. Do you know how I got that name, Bob?
Because you were one of the guys who tested that jetpack that I was trying to sell him. Did you notice he's talking about a jetpack, then when I give him all the information, he suddenly seems reluctant to buy one.
Yeah, well, it's the price and the weight. I mean, when you mentioned it, what'd you say, 86 pounds? That doesn't count the weight of the fuel when you fill it up.
No, when it's empty. And as I pointed out to him, that's only, you fill it up, it's only going to fly for 8 minutes, so you have to plan your trip accordingly. So you hop from one jetpack fueling station to the next. You have to look on the app to find out where the fueling stations are, and you plan carefully so you use up about 7 minutes of fuel, so you have 1 minute in reserve in case you can't land right away. So you know, I mean, it doesn't sound, I mean, it sounds great, sort of, but it also sounds like it's a big pain to have to, you know, refuel every 7 or 8 minutes.
You know what? If I could give a jetpack to anyone who I think that earned it, it would be no other than Judge Janine. She'd be perfect at it.
Yeah, especially, well, I think, as I pointed out, I think it goes a maximum of 120 miles an hour, so it'd be perfect the next time she's speeding through the town of Nichols, and the trooper clocks her going 120, and Judge Janine simply waves down to the trooper and says, "Come and get me, trooper."
Yeah, all she needs, you know, like the space shuttle.
But you know what they would do? So they would calculate. They'd say, all right, so now you're in the town of Nichols going 120 over Interstate 86. So we calculate based on your fuel availability that you're going to come crashing down in the next 5 to 6 minutes. And so they'll have somebody there with a net to catch her when she falls.
Yeah. Now all she needs, if she wants to go from New York City to Elmira, as she did, she just needs a few extra fuel tanks, you know, like the space shuttle.
You know who she should marry? She should marry Elon Musk. She should get that. Can you imagine her and Elon Musk? They would. What a happy couple.
Oh, very true. Hey, by the way, do you know how I got that name?
I'm afraid to ask.
Oh, no. You know him, our prior brand manager, the Mojo Man. He played that on the radio, and I laughed so hard I kept calling in. I'm like, Mojo, where did you get this news from? It was a report of a jet landing at LAX, and as he's flying in, he says, I got a report. I see a guy flying a jetpack. But it was just the funniest thing. And Mojo finally put me on the air. He filled in a few days for you. And when I called in, all of a sudden he nicknamed me Jetpack Jesse, and therein lies the story.
You're kidding me.
That's what the Mojo Man did. And by the way...
wait, he did that on the... Wait, he did it on the radio?
On your show.
Really?
The size, weight of a person in a jetpack impacting an airplane at the exact wrong spot could potentially bring that airliner down. People need to fly them in a responsible way.
Well, there you go.
See, that's what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying.
It was mid-afternoon above L.A. when the report came in. An American Airlines pilot telling air traffic control she had just seen what might have been a guy on a jetpack. The controller warning other aircraft nearby.
Aircraft 4.5 miles ahead reported a person in a jetpack.
The audio from liveatc.net. Previous sightings were debunked after the LAPD saw a large balloon shaped like the Nightmare Before Christmas character Jack Skellington flying over L.A., and in fact, the FAA says, well, it doesn't know what this latest sighting was. The pilots might be seeing balloons.
Yeah, it was a Chinese. It was a Chinese jetpack, not a Chinese balloon. It was the Chinese sending spies in jetpacks so they could find out what our favorite sodas are.
I gotcha.
That's why they have that guy in the jetpack flying over Lake Street trying to figure out what the best selling sodas are.
Well,
is it Moxie or is it cherry wine?
Oh wait, I thought it was tart cherry juice.
Did you ever have cherry wine?
I've never had because when I'm flying my jetpack, I gotta drink responsibly.
This is apparently being treated like a drone sighting because it's just so unprecedented. The LAPD was told about this, but they have not located this guy on a jetpack.
I'm never going to live this down, am I?
Well, that's what you get for admitting it on the program. The first rule of thumb of politics: don't admit anything ever.
I'm not a politician.
Well, obviously. Your hope of running for president in 2028 has just been shattered because of your acknowledgement that you were the jetpack guy.
I guess I can live with it.
All right.
Mojo's recording, because that was the funniest. And by the way, as for Gannett Drive, if they rename it, is Google Maps going to catch up with it? Because it might cause a land of confusion, just like 962J.
Oh, don't get me started on 962J. Now, that is the ultimate debacle. And nobody at the DOT will own up to who green-lighted 962J, the signs. But think of how much taxpayer money was wasted with those 962J signs.
Oh, that was the contractor, I do believe. I think.
Who was the contractor?
When they rebuilt the exit and put up that bridge.
But the contractor doesn't make the signs unless they're ordered to do so by DOT. So there had to have been somebody at the DOT, and I don't know who she is, but she had to have signed off on the documentation to have those 962J signs actually made, only for them to be ordered taken down.
That's right.
And so, I supported Andrew Cuomo for a lot of what he did. Actually, this happened when Pataki was governor. I supported George Pataki, even though he was 6 feet 6 inches tall, so I always had to look up to him. But I believe the Route 962 sign debacle, and that's all 962J, it happened on Pataki's watch, and he never explained it.
Well, right now the best thing about that is there's only 2 places that I know where them signs are now.
Yep, and this is one of them.
There you go. And
Thanks
I had it made, so I can't get arrested.
Thank you. Yeah, the 962J saga. The shame of New York. It's 1140. This is Bob Joseph, 92.1 FM, 1290 AM. It's streaming at WNBF.com. Let's go back to the busy phone lines. Gary from the West Side, you're on the air.
Good morning, Bob. I wanted to tell you about my recent excursion to Hancock, New York. While I was there, there's a place there that you can, it's called the Bat Factory, where you can get sandwiches and stuff like that and desserts and all of these goodies. And as I'm checking out, they got all of these cookies right there in front of me. And I'm like, wow, look at these huge, giant cookies. So, being my sugar addiction, I bought one. And I got to tell you, Bob, one of the best cookies I ever had. I go back the next day, and I asked the woman, I said, wow, who made these cookies, right? Because it says Mama Joe Cookie Company on it, and it has a 570 phone number, so I know that's Northeast PA. And the woman behind the counter tells me, oh, this is some lady from Susquehanna, and she makes the cookies in her home. And she gives them to us down there in Hancock. And I also saw, because I went on the Facebook page, and she sells them in West Windsor. But I tell you, Bob, these cookies are unbelievable. They're a little expensive, you know, in the $4 range, but they're giant, and they're full of, like, stuff that you wouldn't even think is in a cookie. But it's just fantastic. And, you know, so the reason I'm calling is just because here's a woman in Susquehanna who's just making batches of cookies in her house and starting to sell them at gas stations. You know, to me, that's like the ultimate way to get started, right? You have something good, you know, you make little batches and you start off selling them, you know, right around locally. And they're really fantastic.
I thought you were going to say they're made over at Islamberg.
Islamberg? Why Islamberg? Oh, because that's down that way.
Well, it's near Hancock. Have you ever been there?
To Islamberg? No, No. I heard about that. I heard there was like a gun dealer down there or something that one of the local mayors defended against, right? Something like that. I don't know.
I don't know if that person had been at Islamberg, but I will say that, I was there. I stopped by there once, and I took some pictures just at the entrance. I think I'm going to go back because I would like to talk to the people there. I mean, obviously, if you show up at Islamberg unannounced, a lot of times, like say, as I did, you tell them, oh, I'm a reporter. And it's like, yeah, good for you. And it's like, well, do you mind if I, come here and visit and talk to people? And it's like, actually, just given the nature of things, yeah, why don't you make arrangements in the future? I did talk to a guy who was leaving. He lived he was an Islamberg resident. He actually worked here in Vestal. So we had a great conversation. He actually worked at a well-known place in Vestal, and it was great to talk with him. And I never had a chance to come back because I want to talk with some of the people at Islamberg because, and obviously for the most part, they try to keep a low profile because some people have been nasty in the past. So I sort of understand why they're not exactly courting journalists to, cover their community. But I'm curious, as reporters always are. So maybe someday I'll do a feature about Islamberg. I just haven't had a chance to really visit and chat with people who live there. But sometime I'll get in touch, see if they would show me around and chat.
Wouldn't you want to be? Aren't you curious about the woman in Susquehanna who makes the cookies too? I bet
I was going to
blow you off.
No, I know. And what's her name? Mama Joe?
Mama Joe's Cookie Company.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's great.
And it's in Susquehanna.
Yeah, I was talking to the lady behind the counter. She goes, "Oh yeah, she's in Susquehanna.
All right.
She makes the cookies, and now they just started selling them locally. You know, it must have been like they were selling them down there. Right. I don't really know, but it's pretty.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. You're right. I'm more likely, you know,
to get it.
That'd be a great story anyway. To go down there, it's like that's what I need is an excuse to go visit
a woman. Some cookies.
A woman
at Lammersburg, and they might let you in.
They would. I'm sure they would, but you're right. That'd be a sweet feature for WNBF.com.
Yeah, crummy. It wouldn't be a crummy story.
No, not if I was careful. I wonder do you think she makes chocolate chip cookies?
Bob, I'm telling you, you see the cookies that she makes, you'd be like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Like if you like candies, because I got a Butterfinger one, right? So she cuts up Butterfinger candies, puts them into cookies with like caramel. I mean, you just like, it's like unbelievable. It's like one other thing too. While I was there, I went and played golf, and at the golf course in Hancock, they had a restaurant there. I ate there. Everybody complains about prices, Bob. Let me tell you something. If you wanted a side, like you get a hamburger, I wanted a side, $2 French fries, $2 coleslaw, $2 for a salad. So I'm like, you know what? Give me the salad. I got the salad, and what do you expect for $2, right? Let me tell you, Bob, this was the best $2 salad I ever had. It was fantastic, fresh, delicious, $2. People complaining about prices, go to Hancock.
And that's thanks to Kamala Harris.
No, I think actually it was a transgendered immigrant that snuck into the country that was cooking my dinner.
Yeah, from Peru.
I'm overwhelmed by the Josh Riley, Mark Molinaro commercials.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and not really in a good way.
Not in a good way at all.
No, it's like, well, no, I won't say what it's like because I know I'll have to be interviewing them in the next few days, so I don't want them to take it personally. But I will say this: I think knowing, well, not that I know either of them very well, just from talking with them on and off the air, just what I sense from both of the gentlemen is if they had their druthers, their advertising wouldn't be anything like this. But they've left the advertising, they've left running the campaign over to the experts who know how to do this stuff, but I don't think the candidates really are probably too proud of some of the spots.
Oh my gosh!
Except for the part where they're driving. I mean, and they finally dropped both of those. So I mentioned I mentioned a week or two ago that the one thing that we had agreement on from the two candidates is they both love to drive, and then 2 days later it seemed like those spots disappeared, and it's like. I'm thinking I shouldn't have brought it up.
I'm in the park with my kids, all that stuff.
Anyway.
I'm a regular dad.
Yeah. That's if I run for Congress, Gary, I'm going to, my whole spot, my 60-second spot is me just driving at the roundabout on Court Street for 60 seconds.
Round and round.
Yeah, well, that song by Yes is played. Thanks, Gary. Hi, my name's Bob. I'm running for Congress. I like to drive the roundabouts. It'd be sort of symbolic of our government. In a good way. IWNB. Oh, let's see. Who are we up to now? Oh, Martin. Martin, sorry it took so long. How you doing?
That's all right. No problem, Gary.
Yeah, sorry I got distracted by with talking about cookies and roundabouts. What's on your mind, Martin?
I met Gary one time over at Clinton Street Cafe once. Good guy. So anyway, what's on my mind real quick, I'm not calling about this, but Tom Waits, 1977, did a great song, kind of rambling on, lengthy, about Burma Shave. And it wasn't written by him, but it's about kind of teenage angst and other things, and about the roadside signs and other things like that. You might want to listen to it on your own sometime. Maybe even play a little bit on the radio. But Burma shave's been around a long time. I remember it, But what's on my mind is mostly is that I called in yesterday, and I'm looking at the Weather Channel again, of course, and it mystifies me with the technology and what's going on here. And I talked about, you also said that you've seen the meteorologist cry on the radio, and who's been here for 40 years, and this says, we're in a new era. And he says, I've been changed, and see that what's going on, and I believe in what's going on. And then I also talked about that in May, the governor pulled climate change out of the state literature, and again saying don't say climate change. And here we are. We got 3 million people without power. Damage the Tropicana field. People have died. People are suffering. They're going to continue to suffer. And you said you felt sorry for him. I don't understand why. I mean, he's ignorant. He's ignorant, stemming from ignore. He's ignoring 90% of the people want climate. They believe in climate change, and they're being affected by this. And this guy is just pure political reason, just like don't say gay. I mean, look at the people this guy has hurt over politics. I'm just curious. It was percolating all night. I'm wondering, what are you sorry about for that guy?
Well, I'm sorry he doesn't know better.
Oh, okay.
So I can feel sorry for people who don't have adequate information. Maybe all I can say is, I know he has access to the same information you and I have, but he's come to way different conclusions. I don't know what happened. And so, but I feel sorry for him that, that for some reason, whatever reason or reasons, the science for him is elusive. I mean,
it's politics.
Do you think it's only politics?
It's got to be, yes.
No. It has to be more than just pure partisan politics. Come on, Martin.
It's gray matter, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. They can control this, Bob. If they could control this, well, why didn't it happen? And like Trump is saying, they're diverting money away from Republican areas, from FEMA, which is ridiculous. And I'm reading an article right here. I have it laid on the couch. Harris Trump differ on disaster relief, talking about FEMA. And Trump, in his last time he was here, he was diverting funds away from FEMA. And also, since what's happened is so much more has happened with so many disasters, that flood insurance, I know I can't afford it anymore. Other people can't afford it, and insurance companies are pulling out.
Well, wait till 2025 when most major insurance companies announce not only will they write no new homeowner policies in Florida, but they'll wind up canceling thousands of existing policies. Now, when that happens, Martin, I want to see what the governor has to say about that.
Well, what it's done, it's economics, supply and demand. You raise the price so less people can afford it. And
well, somebody said what might happen, the upshot of all this, with all the devastating storms recently in Florida, is that some people who moved there in recent years are actually going to move out.
They are. They've interviewed a couple people, and they said this is, 2-3 times. I mean, how stupid am I? I can't go on like this. Look at this mess, and it damaged Tropicana Field last night too. Also,
the roof was falling off the dump. They used it as a staging area for emergency workers. And I'm thinking, who came up with that idea? Rudy Giuliani, to use Tropicana Field with its little flimsy fabric mesh roof, and now you've got parts of the roof floating over the interstate. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, well, that's how powerful the storms are, though, Bob.
Well, I know.
You got 140, 150 mile an hour winds, right? Even 100, 175.
I know. It's enough to make you sick.
Yeah, and why?
Hey, that's all the time we have. Hope you have a good afternoon.
Okay, now I understand. Thank you.
Thanks. Things get a little easier once you understand. I'm Bob Joseph. The Fantastic Friday program's coming up tomorrow from 9 to noon. I'll be here. Have a great afternoon. You're listening to News Radio WNBF.